Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and the new season of the World of Warcraft leaks is finally upon us. While we've been hard at work covering the next major content update of Dragonflight, there has been new kinds of developments regarding the future long after the Dragon Isles. With a new set of in-game achievements recently data mined, potentially leaking the possible themes and the setting of the next Warcraft expansion. In fact, there may be even 2 expansion leaks for us to delve into, as classic WoW may even be getting a new handcrafted experience. Not your expected classic Cataclysm, but rather an extension of the vanilla Warcraft, fan-dubbed as the Classic Plus potential content update. On this channel, we've covered other possible expansion leaks in the past, and they're always fun to talk about. A lot of them turn out to be not real, obviously. In most cases, these are just fan theories of what the next expansion could be, or fans' wishful thinking of what they would love to see at some point in the future. Still, these topics are always fun to dive into, and I wanted to cover the newest potential leak on this channel. As always, take everything you hear today with a grain of salt. But right before we dive into these possible leaks, most of you guys watching these videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell if you're watching these videos anyway, especially if you want to get more regular content regarding Dragonflight 10.2 or any of the future updates going forward. First of all, let's start by going over the potential new expansion leak to see what the future may hold for us when we eventually depart from the Dragon Isles. As with all leaks, you should go into the video with the right mindset. Most quote-unquote leaks turn out to be not quite real. Majority of them end up as fan theories or players' hopeful wishes of what they would like from the game next, with different features they would like to see, playable races they would love to play, and a variety of features they would love to experience at some point in the future. But some of these leaks do turn out to be sometimes true. But with that in mind, let's assume that all of this is likely not real and take everything we talk about here with a grain of salt. At the same time, that being said, the leaks we'll be talking about have to do with some of the upcoming data mined Warcraft achievements. Wowhead in particular did confirm privately that these achievements are indeed real. And if these achievements are actually real, then their names may give us some form of potentially credible value when it comes to attempting to uncover the next WoW expansion. Because the leak has something to do with the achievements, we may be diving into potentially spoiler territory, so just keep this in mind, especially if you're someone who would rather avoid any and all spoilers whatsoever. During the previous World of Warcraft expansions, we've seen in-game achievements tied to expansion bundles. For example, purchasing the base version of the next expansion doesn't come with any fanfare, but getting your hands on special editions, like the collection edition of Warlords of Draenor, which comes with the unique Dread Raven mount, or even the most recent Dragonflight Heroic Edition, which came with the Tangled Dreamweaver mount, both of which show up as part of your account-wide progression. A string of future achievements has been data mined recently, with achievement names such as SAFE, Surveybot, Stormrider, Squally, Little Frostwing, and the Heroic Edition of Algarian Stormrider. The last one is particularly important because we may even know what this Algarian Stormrider may even look like. Part of the promo material that's recently sprung up in anticipation to the upcoming BlizzCon is this infographic, which highlights some of the major events and programming you can expect to see in person. This doesn't include any spoilers, reveals, or future expansions, as those are being saved for way later once the big reveal is finally upon us. As part of the infographic, you can see all the way towards the bottom right-hand side with the And More panel, a WoW character riding a new mount that we haven't seen in-game just yet. And getting a closer look, it looks very similar to the model of the Earthy Elementals, the same ones that are summoned by shamans, either as a defensive protector or as a personal raid cooldown. Similar to other elementals like the Jaina mount, the Shaman Order Hall mount, or even the Deathwalker mounts from Shadowlands, it looks like we'll be riding atop of one of these mounts as we do with the others. But I don't think we've ever had the opportunity to ride an Earthen Elemental mount in the past, so this does make this mount somewhat unique. The skeleton and the model of the Earthy Elemental is common and has been reused in the past, but I don't believe we've ever been able to ride one before. Besides this, we have another string of achievements, but these are linked to the Warcraft Rumble mobile game. These could end up being in-game toys that are linked from activities within the mobile title, but it doesn't seem that these are linked to the next expansion whatsoever. So what could this Algarian Stormrider mount mean? Like, how does it connect to the next expansion following Dragonflight? Is there any in-game knowledge that we can utilize to draw links to its name, the Algarian Stormrider? And the folks over at Wowhead have been able to put together a few possible connections. The first link comes to us in the form of a book found within the Uldaman dungeon, titled Observational Report, Earthen. The report highlights the Titans observing those subjects succumbing to the curse of flesh, and the Titans had a lot of subjects that have succumbed to the curse of flesh, which is how the Iron Varikal became the Varikal and eventually the humans, the Mechanomes became the Gnomes, Stone Trogs became Trogs, and the Earthen became the Dwarves that we know today. The Uldaman book also notes that a variant of such creatures can be found in Sector AR 938. While these Earthen were similar to the Dwarves, they weren't the same physiologically, but their behavior, language, and even demeanor were very much similar. Even when there was great distances between the two types of Earthen, they somehow were able to develop very similarly to one another, at least when it comes to their base culture, without anything to inspire them or influence them. The colloquial name for this sector of AR 938 became known as Kaz Algar. Kaz Algar is connected to Kaz Modan, the lands owned by the current dwarves of the Alliance. The name of the region means Mountains of Kaz, with Kaz being the Titan Shaper, Kaz Garoth of the original Pantheon. So Kaz Algar could be related to another set of Dwarven people, somewhere in the far reaches of Azeroth. They may even call themselves the Algarian people, for instance, so then the Algarian Stormrider would be a mount linked to the dwarves found in some far-off land somewhere in Azeroth. There's two parts to the name of Algarian Stormrider, the Algarian and the Stormrider. There's not a lot of Stormriders in the game except for a few elementals found outside of Uldaman in the Storm Peaks, but it kinda just ends there. But maybe we shouldn't be focusing on the first part of Stormrider rather than the Rider part. And maybe we could find a way to tie dwarves back into this theory. The Wildhammer dwarves are closely tied to the storm elements. Most Wildhammer shamans you encounter are usually known to favor the elements of lightning specifically over the primordial fires, earth, and water. Also, Wildhammer dwarves are Griffin riders, which would make him somewhat of a storm rider of sorts. The Trading Post data mine recently revealed some new Dwarven goodies that are going to be up for grabs in the near future. Things like the Dwarven Crown Splitter Axe with the new flavor text that reads, designed perfectly for splitting Dwarven Forged crowns and ending the reign of rival kings. Then we have other items that have been data mined like Storm Riders, Storm Hammers. The weapon of a Storm Rider are renowned across Azeroth, with many mastering the power of the storm itself. Finally, we have a few more cosmetic helmets like the Wildhammer Scout's headgear and the Regal Griffin Rider's headgear. It is possible the next expansion could be very Dwarven themed, or maybe if anything dwarves are a part of that expansion but not the main focus, as Dragonflight does have other strands that it can pull from to set up the next expansion. For example, Eridocron and the Void sequence observed at the tail end of Dawn of the Infinite, where he retreats through a portal with a dragon soul-like relic, is a storyline that's still yet unfinished, which could potentially lead us into a conflict where we may confront the Void as one of our enemies. Then we have Verinoth's presence within the patch 10.2, which is sending her and the Primordial Dragons as a prominent ally of the current Dragonflight, as she attempts to convince Alexstrasza that the Titans may not be the ally that she thinks they are, which could lead us into a conflict with the Titans instead. Then lastly, and most importantly, there still is a massive sword sticking out of Azeroth since the end of Legion. Is that storyline ever gonna get finished, or is our friend Magni, the Dwarven companion, working on something big? And lastly, we have one more quote-unquote leak to talk about, a leak which may be hinting at the next expansion of WoW Classic. And this leak doesn't talk about Classic Cataclysm. We know that's probably going to be available at some point in the future. This leak instead highlights a Classic Plus experience. What would happen if we, instead of going through the Dark Portal for TBC, we instead focused on finishing the various questlines and stories that were initially lost in time with the arrival of the original Burning Crusade? And it seems a lot in the community have jumped on board with the potential Classic Plus experience for multiple reasons. One, it was a very common fan suggestion during the release of the original Classic WoW. I still remember when I had friends that were pitching me ideas constantly, imagining what the game could have been if they were to simply add more content but keep the original classic design of World of Warcraft, just filled with more activities and dungeons and even more raids and even more boss fights and even more gear. And the other reason why people are starting to come around to the idea of WoW Classic is due to a specific portion of the leak that highlighted that Chris Metzen would be involved with the project. This leak was posted initially on September the 16th, and the announcement that Chris Metzen will be returning as the executive creative director for World of Warcraft Universe was posted on 26th of September, 10 days later. If the leak was able to predict the return of Thrall back into his role of war chief over at Blizzard, then maybe everything else that it has on there is also true. Or at least that is the sentiment of some within the community. We see other features in that post, like a new level cap of 70, as well as more playable races with the High Elves and the Ogres available for the Alliance and the Horde. A lot of reused assets of the Burning Crusades, Wrath, and Cata periods to create new experiences while maintaining the visual aspect of the classic era, with the first raid of this new experience being one that has us battling the Scourge, similar to Naxxramas. It is also worth noting that the classic era servers have had a few more encrypted builds and patches floating around for a while now, but we didn't really know what these updates entailed. These encrypted builds are similar to the Dragonflight PTR patches, such as encrypted versions of upcoming content like raids, dungeons, class changes, and the like. Having these around for Dragonflight makes sense, since we have even more raid tiers and even smaller 0.5 and 0.7 updates in between, and eventually the next expansion, which could all be encrypted at some point in the future. But having encrypted builds for the classic vanilla WoW that aren't classic Cataclysm could possibly mean that something new for the original WoW experience is planned. We just don't really know what it is just yet. But for now, that's going to be everything we have when it comes to some of the quote-unquote leaks for the next World of Warcraft experiences and expansions. As with all leaks, all of these things are likely fan theories and definitely should be taken with a grain of salt. There is a potential that some of this stuff is true, but it was just kind of fun talking about all these things and kind of seeing where things shape up once we head into the beginning of November with the official BlizzCon announcements. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about everything we talked so far. Do you think any parts of these quote-unquote leaks could potentially be true? What do you think are going to be the themes of the next expansion of World of Warcraft following the expansion of Dragonflight? Also, if Classic World of Warcraft did get a new expansion that doesn't follow TBC, Wrath, or Burning Crusades, would you give this Classic Plus experience a go? And what content would you want to see from a Classic experience going forward? I want to thank all of you so much for watching this video and hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.